If there's something you wanna do, just do it. Don't let your head stop your heart from moving. If they
met some, right? So let's look at what impact does 2 pizzas or a crate of beer a month have, right? So I like last year in December, I came across this remarkable research done by this organization called Equity Access. Like if you're a millennial, you want to be keeping track of the research that they do. So they had a financial literacy series, and what they did is they profiled how the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange has performed in 2020, a year in 2020, and then they went 3 years back and they went 5 years back. Now, and then they said, what would have happened if you as an individual became an insider as opposed to just being a customer and giving your money to someone else to manage it for you? You took an interest in your pajamas and started investing yourself. And what they found could have remarkable. Can you believe that over the last 5 years, the Zimbabwean Stock Exchange as an entire market has grown in real terms by 20% per annum? It's one of the best performing stock exchanges, like crazy, right? So if you had invested 5 years ago, your money would have grown to an extent that it would have beat inflation and delivered a positive return for you. It may not feel that way to many people, because what are people telling you? Hakuna Zimbabwe has, haina deal. So let's look at if we had done this 5 years ago. If I had said, let's say, I sacrifice today that I'm not going to buy, I'm going to sacrifice the money for 2 pizzas. So that's it, let's say about 1,600 bond. Or I'm not going to buy a crate of, I'm going to start investing the equivalent of a crate of beer every single month, says the guy who doesn't drink beer, right? So, right. I put this away every month, and God willing, I get the same return that people out like that Equity Access rightly calculated the stock exchange is delivered, right? And I look at that and say, what would my money grow to 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? Can you believe that 1,600 invested every single month for over a period of 10 years grows to just under $500,000? Over 20 years goes to just over 4.5 million. Over 30 years goes to $35 million. So what's the lesson here? The lesson is the journey to wealth is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? And my favorite one is you never really have to earn a lot of money. What you need to be doing is putting aside something consistently over a longer period in time. I don't think for different people, it's a different thing, right? So for others, it's I'm going to drink one less beer. For others, it's I'm going to have one less pizza or fast food. Or for someone, it could be maybe I'm not going to buy these particular, I'm going to cut down my budget on clothing. But each and every one of us has the capacity to save if we make the decision. Because in essence, what I've just told you is a pizza, 2 pizzas a month is worth 35 million invested in over 30 years. So you not being a millionaire is your choice. And you get what I'm saying?
Terry, this is very, what's the word I want to use here? Very counter-cultural, right? Because this is not how we think naturally. So in essence, you're saying that today, with where we're at today in Zim, you're saying somebody can actually start investing on the stock market,
mm-hmm.
right?
So, yeah, you could, yeah.
And what are some of the other avenues that are there? Because I know you've spoken about the stock market. What are some of the other avenues that are there that one can begin to use to put their money into for the long term?
For the long term, excellent, man. So the stock market is one example, and for me, if you're a millennial, a great place to stay, because it helps you fend against one of the biggest enemies to your investment growth, which is inflation, right? And you're betting on companies, and companies by their nature are built to grow and be profitable, right? So their selfish interests will serve your interests as well. Now, if you're in Zimbabwe, there are things like, one of the things is people are always going to need to eat, right? People are always going to need access to utilities. People are always going to need a roof over their head. You get what I'm saying? So we did some research and came across this research finding that was done by the Standard Bank. They produced what they call the African Wealth Report. And what they found out is if you're an African and in countries, and our economic system really resembles that of, we've got so many similarities with Nigeria, right? Nigeria, you'll find that a lot of things don't go well. Corruption, I think we are in the same WhatsApp group, okay? I don't think any of us are leaving that group soon, right? But you find that entrepreneurship ranks very highly in those markets. And you find in Zim, entrepreneurship is not something that all of us get into because we want to. We get into it because it's a survival instinct. So one of the things that is going to be a great space for you to develop your wealth is in the field of entrepreneurship. And not all of us are entrepreneurs. So you can, if you're not an entrepreneur and you don't want to become an entrepreneur, you can do very well in your current job. So there's this thing called additional streams of income, Koda. So there's a point, like I know you are an exceptionally gifted drummer, musician, and you know how to sell. Like you've got lots of things going on. For you, those are multiple verticals that you can generate income from. But for the most part, I don't know why we do this to ourselves, is that there's stuff that we are naturally good at, but we don't do it because we think maybe it's not cool enough. Maybe it's not, you know, there's a picture of what we need. We want what is fashionable wealth, and that's where we get it wrong. So my encouragement to folks is tap into the things that come natural to you and do that, right? Do that. That's the stream of income. If you look at the Zimbabwean situation, a lot of people are moving from the rural areas, like most developing people move from the rural communities into the urban centers. That's space for, and all those people need food to eat and housing, right? They're also going to need solar because you know ZESA does the things, right? So those are industries where if you can take advantage of that boom, I think Zimbabwe is estimated to grow at a rate of 2.34% year on year. Africa is expected to provide the largest young population. Understand what do those people need and begin to serve it. So construction industries are places where people are going to say it's going to be great. Zimbabwe, like Nigeria, resource rich. If you've got the knack for it, there are things like your mining, right? People are going to need to and beginning to get in front of the curve. There are certain minerals that people haven't started talking about today, but if you can find use cases for them before anyone else does, you've got yourself something that can make you wealthy, right? The real estate space, we've spoken about it, but be smart about it. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Find the way you can add value in a way that no one else is doing. I think if I attended a course a couple of months ago, they want to introduce these things called real estate investment trusts that allow you, if you're a person who cannot afford to buy a house outright or invest in a property, to buy units, like you'd buy units in this trust that owns properties. And the beauty of this structure, if done well, is that the company by law is mandated to pay you dividends out of the rental incomes that they collect or out of the money they get from selling the property. So you get to enjoy the returns that a real estate investor does, but never have to earn huge amounts of money to get there. You never have to buy a whole property. You start owning parts or units in the property. So there are a lot of those things. But what I liked about the African Wealth Report is it showed that the stuff that made people wealthy in the Americas and Europe in the 19th and 18th century are the things that are going to make Africans wealthy in the 21st century, but not exactly as they appear. So the question on us is to become innovative. Like what we're doing now, we're in a virtual space, né? Do you know that the knowledge economy is worth billions of dollars? Right? We've got people on YouTube who are becoming internet sensations. And man, you gotta love these crises, right? Like some of you are busy complaining, hey, the corona things are busy. But some of you would not have livelihoods today had this thing not come. This is an invitation. Look at it for what it is. It's an invitation to innovate.
Superman got nothing on me.